draft here. Game number 2 on Volskaya Foundry.
I think one thing here to bring up as we do end up going through the draft, the fact that this is a map selected by Genji. I mean, obviously it'll put them into the second pick slot, but more importantly, this is like clockwork toward their map priority, right? I highlighted the possible problem of the Towers of Doom and things alike, and this is not Genji finding themselves on a back foot at all here. Raynor, Genji, no surprise seeing those taken off. Will we see the Maiev and Sergeant Hammer, though?
Diablo again, and Deckard Cain was the last band that came in on map number 1, and we talked a lot about those 3 picks in particular. Jimmy, Diablo, and Deckard. Are they going to ban out Deckard, or is it going to be Maiev? Are we seeing Hammer addressed?
The last time these two faced off, Genji had an early pick on that Hammer. Actually, it was a late pick on that Hammer. Ended up coming in the later part of that draft. So they're all going to be banned out. So Maiev and Sergeant Hammer.
I gave some criticism towards the Thrall ban in the 3rd phase of the last series, or the last game, but this is one of the moments where I do like to see the Thrall picked up here. I think it not only denies that opportunity, it's one of the better battlegrounds for that playstyle that Tempest can pick it up, and it leaves, again, one of those kind of OPs, if you will, to kind of play it around in the top half of the draft.
I mean, Deckard Cain in-game already is a huge deal here with the zoning tools around all the checkpoints. Malfurion with the roots is catering towards that to an extent, but Deckard definitely outshining him in that department. Anubrak taken again super early, and that aggressive dive style that we've seen from Genji on Sky Temple is going to mirror it again, so that's already going to have another impact on what kind of damage they're going to draft with that.
A hero's number, who we haven't called yet, that does pair well with Malfurion, is the Tracer. If the opportunity presents itself, maybe a Tracer comes in, depending on how much poke might be on the other side. This is Genji with the last pick. They can use that as their Joker pick to try and say, hey, look, we're flexing this, we've got this, we can adapt to whatever your last 2 picks are. It's one of the benefits of being second pick.
I mean, with an Uberak taken, I'm immediately looking towards Li Ming and ask myself, okay, what are we going to see here? Because what Tempest did is they just focused heavily on the front line. Blaze, of course, gets a bit of added value on this map since you have to take the space around the objective. But now the question is, are we going to see Li Ming taken away, or maybe even on the side of Gen.G? Because normally what happens is that you see Disintegrate as an immediate tool to burn down the cocoon.
Dread, we've taken the auto attack heroes off, and Phoenix, Raynor, and Sergeant Hammer. That does open the door more if they do want to go into the Tracer. Yeah,
but what it does remove is the most popular offlane pick in this situation when Blaze is taken off is Yrel, and all the synergies with the sustain Yrel plus something else. You know, I say that, and actually I forgot about Hanzo. So never mind here. I was going to say, well, Yrel looks far less appealing because there's no sustained DPS to give that armor over to, and mages, it's not that it can't work. It's just, again, you know, very time sensitive and demands a lot more coordination. But yeah, now we got the Hanzo up there. A lot of sustain coming across the board for Gen.G. They got to feel very comfortable here. I feel like a lot hinges here on the back end of this draft for Tempest because so far they have a lot of pause buttons and tools, a lot of control, but they have no way to secure any kills here. Li Ming and Junkrat is going to be the selection. I can't help but feel like, once again, feels a bit just missing that oomph I'm looking for.
They're both skill shot heroes. Like, Junkrat grenades are, you know, you can splash those in there, but these are 2 heroes that are strictly reliant. You can get decent sustained damage, but it's nowhere near the levels of your standard auto attacker.
But what I really like is that they at least have a lot of displacement around Garrosh and Junkrat here, and when it comes to checkpoint control, that's important together with Deckard. Li Ming was a bit of a hero we expected after we've seen an Uberak come in, but even Chromie now taken, so if you can get that dive and that lockdown through an Uberak and Malfurion, Chromie has just the perfect bullseye opportunity to drop a target.
Well, we do get the Chromie. It has been one of the better counters towards Garrosh. Stationary target does allow you to stack up, and we almost forgot about Chromie. We haven't seen a lot of her thus far in the Eastern Clash, but she always shows up on Volskaya.
I honestly expected Maiev to be drafted, maybe not in that last position here, but in the draft itself. For Volskaya Foundry, not seeing Maiev here, surprising to say the least.
It feels weird, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the players that are capable of playing Maiev, especially when we look at Rich, it's like, hello? Like, Rich, do you want to play this hero?
The poking and prodding that the Chromie there for reset is going to provide, I'm guessing we're going to see W build focus there and just a lot of damage coming out. And it's not going to be the same problem when it comes to the hammer and things alike, but as you said, with the lockdown, when you have the Anubarak and you got yourself the Malfurion to get it there, Li Ming can't handle that damage, even with Force Armor at level 1, and then also Junkrat is one of the most vulnerable to that single target damage, so it's very scary, and normally you could be like, well, where's the support going to be there for Hyde to be able to save the team? Deckard has nearly the exact same problem and difficulty, so pretty clever play there for Gen.G in the back end.
The coordination that can come in between an Anubarak dive into a stun, that target is called, and that Chromie combo is coming down. I don't think many people can live through that. Even a Garrosh can get blown up in that situation. There's just a lot of follow-up, and you add the Li Ming in behind that, or excuse me, the Li Ming on the other side. You can't counter that damage. You can't try and fight back in these situations. Like, look, you're coming in with your damage. Can I counter that by blowing you up in return? It's just not possible. It just doesn't come out. And that Anubarak front line is going to be incredibly scary coming in on the side of Genji.
I feel the one thing on Tempest is really when you're playing Junkrat and Li Ming into this, you have to be aware what's coming your way and just use your mobility to dodge out on that. Of course, you want to rely on Garrosh and on Blaze also to provide cover, but at the same time, once the engage happens, they need to be able to move away from it. And if you do that and Anubarak doesn't find his target, all of a sudden he's in deep and he can try and exploit his hit point pool.
There's a lot to be said about Chromie on this battleground. We know that it kind of was always around, and then it became the Sergeant Hammer counter, but it's always been when Garrosh has been there. Garrosh, you can't get on top of her. We've seen different builds come out from all over the place, whether it's the Sergeant Hammer, we've seen ADRD go into a time trap style build, so a lot of that nature. And then you look at Hanzo and Chromie in particular. Hanzo still does have a decent auto attack range, more than standard. So for Anubarak also, if you get tossed in, you can burrow charge back out. So there's so many tools I think Genji has to deal with this composition of a Garrosh style.
I think the biggest, if there's a hole in Genji's composition, it's the fact that Malfurion can't deal with any of the isolation if it's successful. The minute one of those major isolation tools is used with the crown control follow-up, it shouldn't be the defensive aspect. The only concern is that they also have the Urel to provide more defensive capabilities. That armor, 35%, sitting on top of a Tranquility, more often than not, that is going to be, you know, a target keeping themselves alive. So maybe try and find a ways to bait out that Tranquility or not getting Urel in a position to give the kill target armor.
Also, if Tempest finds himself struggling here again, I really want them to address Urel once Anubarak is picked, because that combo is now coming out for the second time, and it really negates a lot of the weaknesses that Anubarak has with the engage, if you can provide the extra armor and create some space when he's focused. And I feel right now Tempest is just not respecting Urel as much as she deserves.
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly agree, and we're going to find out exactly how that does play out, as it is now time to head into game number 2. Volskaya Foundry, Genji still going up here against Tempest in this best of 5.
Game number 2, ladies and gentlemen, with a lead for Genji, as we see to the left side of the map, Team Tempest with Hyde on Deckard, Sign on Garrosh, Dami on Blaze, Good on Li Ming, and Lockdown on Junkrat.
On the other side in red will be that of Genji, as it's going to be Sake on Malfurion, Reset on that Chromie, Rich on Hanzo, Kyocha on Urel, Tist again on the front line on that Anubarak. He's going to be the leader, the playmaker for a lot of these combos coming in here for Genji.
The combo between Anubarak and Urel is just absolutely fantastic if you're trying to go for one of these dives. You have Urel providing the extra armor. Anubarak oftentimes hailed as the perfect engage tank, but has the problem that when focused can sometimes be a bit on the weaker side when it comes to the hit point pool, easily blasted away. Urel helps out with a lot of these problems. And then, of course, you have the 2 backliners that have all the time in the world to get in the damage.
Early, easy start here by both teams. This is the map that we generally see the least amount of action here in the early part. It really comes into who's willing to commit to the support camp, which is 18 seconds away. We know the turrets are generally prioritized first, but then you look at composition-wise. Is that Garrosh, you get on a point, he tosses you right off. You've got the roots that could come down on the other side. You've got Anubarak, the blow-up potential. Urel with the hammer. Who's willing to commit to these early fights, especially when you see the amount of damage, the high-impact damage on the side of Gen.G and Tempest with those mages?
It's really going to be interesting, but right now, when I play flank, I would actually give Tempest a bit of a lead over the support camp if we're going to see that 5 versus 5 fight on even terms, just because of the displacement that they have here. Around Junkrat, around Garrosh, you have a Urel there too, but I feel if Tempest gets that 5 versus 5, they are looking at a pretty solid spot.
Well, you could see right there, Tempest keeping an eye on that with the Junkrat. Tempest had gone down to start their turret camp, but the minute Gen.G showed up on that support camp, Tempest had to abandon that strategy. We know both teams, or most teams, like to pick up the turret camp because by the time in the middle of that control point, it will respawn and you can double up on a second one or use the second one for another round of team fights. And so instantly disrupting that rotation. So the turret rotation very much behind from what we traditionally see.
It was a bit of a game of chicken. Everybody just daring each other. Okay, are you going to go for the turret camp? Do we maybe have enough time to go for the biotic emitter here? And then at some point, both of them just realizing that a move towards the top would immediately trigger a reaction on the other side. Both just accept that it's the better choice for them to take the turret first. But that, as you said, delays now the potential healing camp to be taken. So I want to see if they are still committing here. I mean, right now we're still waiting for objective number 1 to be activated. The 4 talents are in, and no one really dares to go into that spot.
Well, this is something different. We saw Rich pull this talent out at mid-season brawl with the level 4.
Yeah.
You can one-shot every minion, although Lockdown looks like he's lucky to be alive. You one-shot a minion, but you also get the bonus attack range for a couple of seconds after that. So every time you auto-attack a minion, you get that bonus attack range. So it does give him more of that backline poke potential. When you're on the control points, those waves will generally always be in the middle. So Rich's positioning, we know he loves to be aggressive. It will allow him to position more towards the center point of the map to try and get that long-range poke while still remaining safe.
It's definitely a really cool adjustment for the map and the placement that we see on the objective towards the lane ratio that exists there. But here comes the first objective, and the biotic emitter hasn't been taken by any of the teams here, but pressure already on Garrosh, and Sign barely keeps himself alive here. Moving in with Bloodthirst and moves out to heal himself up, but that was a great engage by Genji. It just did not get the kill.
I mean, Sign had a perfect, oh my, lockdown, please. Lockdown,
Oh
please.
my
There
God,
it is.
there's the value right there.
We wonder, I'm telling you, this right here, Rich is positioning himself so far forward, getting that auto attack. He will live in this mid lane in a similar position. He is willing to take this talent and make plays like that nobody else we've even seen try.
He's basically positioning himself in the minion wave and uses it as a quiver for a long-ranged arrow. Whenever he needs, he just plucks one out of the ground and it's like, okay, here's the final shot. Gets that in, gets the kill, and that gives them a massive lead now in objective number 1.
You love to see it finally coming out. I mean, you get that perfect combo and you just scream out after you get that kill, Yahtzee, and you know it's on from there.
I hate you so much. Don't enable him. Don't enable the Care Bear.
Genji finds themselves with control over this, but as level 7's been picked up by Tempest, they will look as they have forced it to overtime, but can they withstand the poke and the damage? Because Sign already low on health. One big combo is all it's going to take to pop that Garrosh as the hammer get the knockback. Tempest walking forward, they still have that biotic emitter. They're trying to hold point for now.
Yeah, the poke damage is just absolutely fantastic. Dami is not committing to the item yet, but look at Sign, he is so low. Hyde is missing the potion there, and they are just simply moving away from it. Dami now also extremely pressured by especially Rel, and that's the first protector. And it's an easy one for Genji. So this situation for Tempest is quite annoying because losing the protector is one thing, but they at no point could even contest the objective because we saw Chromie just hitting these shots and threatening, first of all, Junkrat early on and then Sign on his Garrosh a little bit later.
And we have seen teams in the past, not really in Korea, but some of the other regions, it's like, look, if you're going to lose it, it's better to lose it early so you don't get that early 10 snowball, try and deal with an earlier protector. But Gen.G seems to have picked it up at almost the perfect time because they're looking at a full level lead. They can now pressure this fort, and if they get this fort locked down, hold on a second, Sign getting locked down, but if they get this fort down, we're looking at 10 tier, and Gen.G with a huge advantage early.
Yeah, you have a great prep for the second objective by taking down the fountain, but of course now also denying the retreat point to Tempest is another big deal here, and they are getting the damage in. I mean, Reset can still shell away against the structure, and that's what it's gonna do soon. Fantastic spot for Gen.G. And Tempest, I still want them to address, at least in the next draft, this Urel combo with the Nubarak because it's really shredding them.
Reset is also shredding them. Now with that slowing sands after level 8, those control points, Garrosh engagement points, sometimes if you want to get through the fire, you have to use that Indomitable early for the engagement. And sometimes you need it for the disengage. But once you use that Indomitable for the engagement to potentially get through if it's needed, do you find your way back out? Because when you use that, you are committed to the fight. You are committed to trying to find the kill. So we'll see how that comes in.
Good rotation towards the turret camp here from Tempest, though. They realize that Gen.G is going to take the level 10 any second, so they try to take the camp as fast as they can after it respawns to make sure that they cannot be stolen away. It's a lot about the item control here. Ah, nice move. Okay, this was actually great. Genji realizes they have a chance to maybe dive deep and get a kill, and Tempest is able, with the mobility and the displacement, to not make that happen. And Tempest, they still have the items. They're still fine when it comes to item control. 2 turrets, and they have the biotic emitter. That's pretty solid for the situation they're in right now. So they still have a chance to go for objective number 2.
Reset's predictability on some of these combos has been insane. It continues to impress me every step of the way. You can even see the way he put that slowing sands down there on the bottom. He just wanted to limit the amount of passages you could come forward. If you come through one, that's the choke that he wants you in, so he can hit those skill shots. They get vision on that top camp scene. Several members of Tempest are there. That's going to allow Gen.G to continue to pepper away here in the mid lane, also taking down the well.
The engage potential that we see from Tempest is just not there right now. You need to force your opponent into a fight, but if you look how way back Urel and Nubarak play, because they know that they can rely on Hanzo and Chromie to get the poke damage out. And they, again, disengage here. They don't need to force a fight at this point. They're double-checking what's happening around the biotic emitter, and that is a situation where they just fight it deep. But look at Sign already trying to flank here, and that's not working out at all. The taunt comes out. Well, they're not getting rich. It's Garrosh who falls a bit too far out here, not able to get into the bunker, and now the story continues as Hyde is the next target of Gen.G.
He's trying to get out of there, giving the Lornado, giving him some space, but now Kyocha says, look, we've got to try and confirm the kill. Hyde able to continue to keep himself alive, but Kyocha with that level 7 is just bunny hopping his way all the way there. That's going to be a double kill. Gen.G establishing more control in this as they move towards that 13 talent tier.
This is getting really rough now. A minute ago, I really liked what Tempest had because they found themselves behind experience, but from an item perspective, they were still in a decent spot. And their problem, again, is to force fights because Garrosh cannot simply walk up. It's one of the main reasons why we saw Sign in that spot in the first place, because he thought, okay, if I come in from the side and flank them, that's maybe my opportunity to force that fight, throw someone in, and force them to engage here. But they could have also waited for the objective to spawn and fight around that. I think they were simply worried about the level 13 talent here, so they thought they needed to make a move before it happens.
You can see Tempest pushing down that lane. Genji, will they respond? As they start to come down, they have vision. They are sitting on a Dragon Arrow, but on those moving sidewalks is what I'm going to call them.
Conveyor belt.
Yeah, conveyor belt. You know what? When you blank out, you just go with moving sidewalk.
Moving sidewalk, I like that. We should actually have that here. To be honest, Seoul is advanced enough that I wouldn't be surprised if we had a couple of moving sidewalks here.
It's a lot I like here, including the food.
The best moving sidewalks that we have are actually in restaurants, and then you have food on them, and it brings you sushi. So.
Well, you know, that moving sidewalk was uncontested in the top lane. Without 13 talent here, Gen.G grabs themselves another protector. See if they make a pit stop in the mid lane, take down the remnants of this fort, and then make their way towards the bot lane and try and set up the next control point. One thing that's interesting, 13's been picked up. Junkrat having to use those concussion mines to get out of there because he was very far forward in that bot lane. But has retreated to safety as now Gen.G continues their assault.
Tempest is simply accepting the hard truth that after the double kill, oh, that might be an opportunity. Just kidding, it's Urel. So they're still diving deep with that, but Kyoja jumps out, and not even Lornado can change that. The tower shots are still damaging her, but they keep her alive. A lot of cooldowns burned again for Tempest. And they are just accepting right now that the double kill against them that happened around the biotic emitter early on put them so far behind that they can't contest the protector. Now Gen.G is trying to get even farther ahead, to try and get the level 16. And the only attempt of Tempest to negate that is by having Blaze on the top lane and soaking experience.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to be enough. You have to start to get actual structures down, the walls itself. You got to get the forts down. The keep wall obviously does hold on to a decent amount of XP. For Tempest, though, they're going to be on a very short leash. I mean, you look at the long-term plan here. Obviously, you have the long time between the next control point after this one goes down. So Tempest reasonably will be on that 16 talent tier. It's just a matter of how far ahead will Gen.G be? How much can they accomplish? Can they get towards 20? Can they find a rotation with Tempest, get desperate to push down a lane, and then Gen.G get a pick, get another push, a counter push of their own? There's so many things that Gen.G can do to continue to establish a larger lead.
It's only map control right now. Items, items, items. That's what you're going to try and get. When your opponent's camp spawns, they're trying to move down and steal that away from them. Tempest is literally just sitting there and saying, boys, we need 16, and then we fight. Once we have 16, we're going to force the fight, we're going to try and do that. But we've seen that attempt earlier, and the problem is, how do you force that fight if Garrosh has such a big problem getting close to anyone that he can throw in that doesn't have an immediate escape available?
Well, they find Tist in the middle there. Rich, even moving far forward himself, does have that agility, is going to juke the charge in by Dami.
But that's not even the fight you want. You don't have 16 talents yet, and even here they can't force it. And Gen.G doesn't only have the escape tools on their front line, they also have the slowing stance that you spoke about earlier. So that's another great tool that he can use as a disengage here. There's
Right
the
on
camp
time.
invade, as we talked about just a few seconds ago, so already we're seeing them in that spot. And yeah, there's still a few turrets around for Tempest, but it's really tough.
I mean, we're talking 2 healing pulses, 2 turrets, maybe a third on Chromie. I don't even know. We'll have to see her in a moment.
There's a turret
there's
on the
one
map.
actually
They have,
sitting there.
Exactly, there's a turret sitting at their camp because they couldn't pick it up.
This is an interesting spot to be in. Down goes the turret as they put their siege towards the mid lane.
This is just Kyoja saying, guys, we still have a free turret there in the back. Someone needs to take that. I'm going to be the one who randomly drops turret in the middle just for the lulz and then heading back to grab the 5th one. So they just traded that item, and now they are just fully stacked when it comes to item control. We have a camp prepped at the top right. Gen.G is setting up for that 3rd objective, and Tempest, this is the last chance for them to really try and turn this around. If they don't win a big team fight here, then they are going to slowly fall in game 2.
This will be no easy task as Gen.G fully loaded. Tempest still waiting for the control point to be active. Lockdown and team making their position. They do have eyes on Yrel, but Sign, wow, that combo.
Yes, that hurts. And I mean, Sign is on Garrosh, right? So they are able to nearly one-shot him at this point, and that is just insanely scary. Control point unlocks in 20, and that's really the moment that Tempest has been waiting for. They have played a very patient game. This is actually what I like, that they accepted how far behind they were. They just accept, okay, this is a bad spot to be in. The only chance that we have is around the 16 talent tier. So let's make that happen, play until then, and hope for the best. But again, it's going to be insanely tough.
Tempest, this might be their last stand. The Protector, if you get a couple of kills on the side of Gen.G, get that keep down, that 20-tier advantage plus a Protector, the success rate so incredibly high. So Tempest, this might be their last stand as they hold position. Good, taking some poke damage, but we've got the front line holding point as Sign and team are trying to zone out Kyoja.
Hanzo again in the minion wave to capitalize on the level 4 talent choice, and look at Rich just zoning out that backline. Dami and Sign both have to all of a sudden fall back, but the arrow of Rich misses. They're seeing still the aggression against Sign himself, and Garrosh finds himself
What
in a
is
super
Rich
awkward
doing?
spot. But Rich is insanely low here, but still walks away because Saka with the Tranquility keeps him in play.
Lockdown somehow survives for now, seeing if he can continue to make his way out, but Dami on the front line has a healing pulse of his own. He's stuck in a time trap. Riptire trying to buy some space, trying to buy some time. There's the toss back on Kyoja. He gets interrupted. He is somehow surviving, but he's going to be the first takedown as the rest of Tempest trying to hold on. Will Gen.G continue to try and take this fight?
Tiz went deep and followed up with a stun, but we're seeing Reset, of course, with one shot after another. Fight from the backline. The 5 versus 4 in Tempest's favor might just be what they need to claim the objective. They have already 47% on the progress. Tapping the fountain now and re-engaging into the battle is the best shot they have here. Gen.G looking for the item control, but this all of a sudden turned heavily against the red team.
A lot of that just Rich initiating on his own, literally standing in the enemy team's. These plays are insane. The fact that he lived was great, but it kind of brought the rest of his team into that fight. There's going to be another Chromie combo landing as we see Tempest. They're moving back onto point. Tist holding there. Yrel still 8 seconds away from spawning, so this will allow Tempest to establish control.
Genji has to give this one up for now. Tempest has bunker available again. All of the heroic abilities are back off cooldown with the exception of Junkrat's Riptire, and that's only on 10 seconds. They engage into the back line, but Hyde is fine, at least for now. There's only a 4-man for Gen.G. That Protector is absolutely crucial for Tempest, but we see Yrel on the way back, so Tempest will have to fight for it once again.
Here we go, Tommy just trying to play around vision as Rich continuing to poke down that backside. You can see he is just being a menace back there. Kyoja moving his way down onto the control point. 20, dangerously close here for Gen.G. Rich, there's one agility down obviously can find ways to get that back quicker. We'll see if it holds here. Tempest, it's in overtime. They're sitting there. Can they get this protector?
Sign just can't find the engage, and every single time he walks into a time trap, the combo is there. The arrow is hitting the backline and stopping the Riptire here, but Sign and Dami are both low, and here comes Gyoja jumping in deep. Chromie again with a focus on Garrosh, and both of the frontliners are so low that they have to back off. And just look at experience here. As Rich hits another scan arrow, we have level 20 just around the corner for Gen.G. It's tough for Tempest. Even with a kill against Urel, they're again behind.
Well, they are coming in for a fight. Sign gets bombs dropped on him. You can see Junkrat on the minimap trying to look to make a play, see if he can make it as they start to come in. Tempest, they end up giving up the protector, but they find themselves in dangerous territory. Here comes Lockdown. They're trying to get the kill. Good just trying to get any type of reset. Does not get it, but that does trade out onto Hanzo as now the protector in full assault mode. Sign goes down, and now this protector will continue to move forward and try and end this game.
It was the last small chance for Tempest, and especially Li Ming had to do something here, hoping for the resets and going in deep, but sacrificing herself to make the kill against Rich's Hanzo possible. Now Gen.G moving in, of course, aiming for a core here. A keep is not enough in this situation. We're looking at 18 minutes, a Storm Talent advantage, and the third protector in the game, and this keep is falling within seconds.
Lockdown trying to hold, using that spray there at level 16, trying to get any type of damage in that he can, as this protector is starting to take the shields down on the side of Tempest. Gen.G trying to go up 2-0 here, and Lockdown, he's now going to be the focus as Urel and the protector hold point on this core.
Second ground already taken, the shields are down, the Riptire comes in, but that protector is showing no mercy. You might kill Chromie here, but you should not be able to save the core, as we see Gen.G going in a deep for the victory here on Volskaya Foundry. The core falls, and this is game as Gen.G takes the 2-0 lead over Tempest in the winner bracket final.
Gen.G just showing to be too strong in the play of Rich. Despite the risk, the reward clearly has been there. All smiles for Rich after that game. Just dominating the control there. But Volskaya, we saw the early game pressure. That first kill that we saw post level 4, post level 7, everything started to unfold. And sometimes you just get so far behind on Volskaya, your opportunities are limited to get back into the game, and Gen.G able to close it out, Dread.
Yeah, Gen.G, I mean, just got away with so much throughout that game from beginning to end, and I feel like the biggest thing was just Rich's positioning, specifically the fight on bottom. There's almost no world where a solo Hanzo should be able to split that team in that type of circumstance. And it showed that Tempest, I feel like, from beginning to end of both games 1 and 2, that they aren't necessarily confident to even approach the game at the same kind of level as Gen.G. Even though I think they are very, very capable, I just feel like the confidence definitely isn't there for the squad.
Hanzo even missed the arrow in that engage when he moved in. So the ult is out, and still he was so afraid of him that everyone moved back. And he just drove the wedge into the backline and still succeeded. Kept alive by Saga afterwards on Malfurion. It was crazy that he didn't fall.
I mean, and again, I feel like that was purely Tempest with the logic coming into it, because at first it was a smart choice on the side of Rich until it broke the line of scrimmage past the conveyor belt number 2, and then Tempest didn't recollect themselves. All you do in that circumstance is you just go, okay, recollect yourself, move to left, and if Rich steps any farther forward, you go, that should be a dead Hanzo very, very fast. And it just didn't feel like the pressure was there. Also, I was in the back, and Snitch had a huge problem with the fact that there was no pressure on Urel. Urel got away with a lot throughout the entirety of that game as well, especially not going in the Ardent Defender. Felt like there could have been pressure applied there, and it makes me scared for Tempest in Game 3, no matter the map or the draft. I think they can improve on both, but it doesn't feel like they have the confidence in themselves.
The engage was what I had the biggest problem with. They just had no engage potential. They were waiting for Garrosh to get a throw, but he couldn't walk up to anyone because Urel and Anuburak, outside of objective fights, kept themselves really far behind, and it was just the Hanzo and Chromie show the entire time. And then Garrosh is at 50% HP and is like, well, even if I walk up to someone right now, I'm not going to get anything done in this spot. So they need something a little bit more snappy where they can go in and force a fight.
It definitely feels that when you have the Garrosh, I mean, obviously on the first control point, his value is very much there if you can get the flip back. Beyond that, when you find yourself behind, when do you have those engagement opportunities? I think that's the plight of Garrosh sometimes in our meta, and it showed itself there. But we will see what else shows itself as we will come back from a quick commercial break here soon. We will continue this series between Gen.G and Tempest to see who's moving on to the grand finals. We'll be right back.
The Heroes of the Storm Global Championship is back. By watching and cheering with bits on Twitch, you can unlock new chat emotes and exclusive in-game items, all while supporting your favorite HGC teams. Bits are a virtual good you can buy on Twitch to cheer, celebrating amazing moments and amplifying your voice in chat. And during HGC, when you cheer for your favorite team, a share of the bits spent will go to that team. As you cheer, you can unlock loot chests, mounts, and exclusive emotes when personal and global cheering goals are met. There is more loot than ever, but as new community items are launched, the old ones will disappear. Get them all before they're gone for good. Right below the video player, you can track team-specific and global progress, check out your individual goals, and see leaderboards that highlight each team's total cheers and the top individual cheerers. To get started, buy some bits by clicking on the bits gems at the bottom of chat and selecting Get Bits. Then, when a team pulls off an amazing play, click on the bits gem in chat, select the team logo, add the number of bits you want to use, plus a message to cheer them on. You'll summon a team-themed animated cheer mode to celebrate the moment loud and proud in chat. The more bits you use, the cooler and more animated the cheer mode. And lastly, be sure to link your Blizzard and Twitch accounts to claim your loot. We'll see you in the Nexus.
Primitive 좀 쉽게 이길 줄 알았는데 상대 블라썸이 굉장히 준비를 잘해온 것 같아서 저희가 좀 고전을 한 것 같고요.
Hanzo is on the way. Looks like they might want to try and make a bit, but 50% on the Blossom core. They have to stop this temple channeling.
Going in, Hanzo's trying to get in. Stay away, listen! They get the double temple. Hanzo goes down immediately, and that is game. Tempest actually wins it. A 3-1 victory.
지금 좀 약간 긴장을 좀 많이 한 것 같아서 내일은 좀 긴장을 풀고 좀 즐겁게 재밌게 하려고 노력을 해야 될 것 같아요. 어떤 팀이 올라오든 간에 최선을 다해서 좋은 모습 보여드리도록 하겠습니다.
네, 여기 이스턴 클래시 와서 좀 연습을 많이 못했는데 발리스틱스 같은 경우는 항상 이런 8강이나 4강에서 이기는 편이고 결승에서 져왔기 때문에 그렇게까지 지금의 승리에 대한 기쁨은 없는 것 같아요.
Tell me the last time that you walked up to a Garrosh 1 versus 5 on the right side of the battleground and looked him in the eyes and said, I'm ready to win this game. Because that was exactly what you saw Rich do there with that penetrating round coming through, isolating out Hooligan and friends.
템페스트의 팬분들이 정말 많아서 템페스트에 힘을 주기 때문에 아마 잘 할 수 있을 거라 생각해요. 그리고 저희 팀이 템페스트한테 강하기 때문에 아마 쉽지 않을까 그렇게 생각합니다.
We are back here in this best of 5 Tempest versus Gen.G, where Gen.G finds themselves up 2-0, one game away from the grand finals. And we heard from Rich from his interview yesterday. He said he expected this to be easy. I don't want to say it's been hard by any means, but has it really been that easy?
They made it look easy, let's put it like that. So they get the drafts they want, they get the games they want, and they dominate them from the early mid game, and then just don't give their opponent a chance to come back into it. So it looks easy, but if they misstep once, they give their opponent a chance to come back into the match.
Dread, we also heard that he said Tempest has a lot of fans here that can empower them. So far, the fans haven't had a lot to cheer for just yet, the exciting moments that sometimes we get. Do we need more aggression from Tempest? What do you want to see from Tempest to maybe try and get back into this? What do they need to do to change this pacing up?
For me, it's a lot of their drafting.
Yeah.
It's so much the playstyle, but they put themselves in just kind of this, not so much a lose-lose scenario, but definitely on the back foot. And it starts before the game even starts. A lot of it is with Urel. She's making it post-second ban phase with the synergy on the new Barak. And with so much priority going on this first 2 bans into the Diablo, there needs to be more priority there. In the first game, we saw them choke themselves out, not expecting the Karazim rotation, and the 2-3 with the Deckard in their second ban. And I think it's just putting a little bit more of forethought into how they're going to be able to approach it. I know I wanted as well them to do that when it comes to the maps, which it doesn't seem like that is very much their focus. So if it's not going to be there, it has to be with pick bans.
The Korean flavor has always been first pick priority in so many fashions, and you wonder sometimes, is there any weaker battlegrounds? And we're going to find out here. Tempest still electing for that first pick, which means that Gen.G going to a very comfortable battleground in Infernal Shrines, one where we heard your call just yesterday where Rich, you know, he'll do it on Hanzo, he'll do it on Raynor, it doesn't matter. It's like, look, I'm going to play on the enemy team side of the map, see if you guys will join me. And right now the drafts that we've seen from Gen.G are just like, we'll collapse to you, just don't die. And so far, Rich has been successful.
Here's the thing, though. Rich definitely one, if not the best player in the world, but at the same time, he looks fantastic because he gets away with these. Once he gets punished, everyone is going to ask, what are you doing there in the first place? So I want Tempest to be a bit more aggressive when it comes to punishing the positioning that he takes right now, because they know he's going to be that aggressive. He is very confident, and he gets away with it because he is so good. But they pushed him several times on Sky Temple, and if they can push him to the limit again here and get an early kill, they might finally be able to get some momentum to lead the game instead of always following.
Well, we're going to find out how this draft will unfold as we are ready to get this draft underway. And Dreadnought, we've seen so many bans on Diablo. We know how strong he is on this battleground. Garrosh hasn't seemed to be the